We've reacted to strikers, we've reacted to defenders, but we've never reacted to goalkeepers. Today we're going to be reacting to, from a daily dose of football, how a goalkeeper became so overpowered they almost made him into a midfielder. Now I'm not going to deny the fact that off the top of my head his name is escaping me, but this is one of the suggested goalkeepers that some of you have been wanting for a minute now, and Daily Dose of Football has a video on them, and we have a little compilation afterwards I think we're going to watch of just highlights.
So listen to this. Ronaldo and Messi are the greatest players of the 2010s. That much is obvious. But who is the third? Who gets to go up on that podium alongside them? Maybe you'll say Neymar, maybe you'll say Iniesta, but I have a hot take for you.
I need to react to Iniesta.
Neuer. There isn't a single other player who has even come close to as dominant in his own position as him. Think about it. I don't know about you, but at times I even forget to mention him when I'm talking about the greatest goalkeepers of all time, because there are legendary goalkeepers and then there's Manuel Neuer. He just sits at his own table. This guy was so overpowered with the ball at his feet that the Bayern boarded to forbid Guardiola from trying to play him in midfield. It literally changed the way we even played his sport. As someone once said, any goalkeeper that came after him was a mere evangelist of the church of Manuel Neuer. But the thing people get wrong is that even if you remove every long ball, backheel touch, headed save and dribble, he was still one of the greatest shot stoppers of all time, virtually unbeatable, just a cheat code. Take every goalkeeper who's ever played more than 10,000 minutes in the Bundesliga, and the great Khan sits at the top, tied with Jean-Marie Pfaff, having conceded a goal every 85 minutes. But then comes Neuer. At 111 minutes, 31% better, not even reaching a goal again. And of course, you could argue that playing for Bayern, no wonder he doesn't concede. But well, get a bit more nerdy and take on some advanced metrics. Expected goals on target minus goals conceded, which isn't influenced by how good your backline is in any way, just measures how good you are at stopping shots once they're already coming off the striker's foot. And the two best since Neuer's debut are Ter Stegen and Jan Sommer at 19.7 and 17.8. Neuer, however, hits 37.9. But
that's actually insane. Wait, so I want to ask you guys, do you think goalkeepers are some of the most underappreciated members of any particular football team? Or do you think they get the credit they deserve in this current era? Let me know.
But hey, if that's not enough to convince you, let me remind you that by the time Neuer got to Bayern, he already had 6 seasons under his belt. Look, I don't think any club was ever as unintentionally genius as Schalke. You see, the only reason Neuer became a goalkeeper was that when his father moved to Gelsenkirchen for a new job, he decided to sign him up for their academy in the middle of the season, meaning that, as Neuer explained, when I got there, they had no keeper, so they just took the new kid and told me I had to go in goal. I was the stupid one, the piggy in the middle. I never wanted to go in goal. When I played football in school, I was always an outfield player. And that's literally the only reason why he played the way he did, why he was so good with his feet. As he'd go on to say, whenever I could get off goalkeeping training, I'd always practice with the outfield players.
That makes sense.
They even considered making me a midfielder because I was too short for a keeper. But I looked at my parents, saw how tall they were, and decided to wait it out. What's even worse is that a year later, once they saw he hadn't grown much, they actually thought of dropping him from the academy altogether, but then he just started growing like crazy. So much so that by 19, having already reached over 6'2", not only had he taken over as the team's main keeper, he had led them to the under-19 national title, was already playing with the reserves, and above all, training with the first team. It seemed like 1 month he was watching old tapes of Jens Lehmann, lamenting that he never get to stand where his idol stood, as his club negotiated a loan deal out to Cole in the 2nd tier, and the next, well, reserve goalkeeper Heimer Roth left the team unexpectedly. Then their main keeper Frank Rost went out injured, and already on the 2nd match day of the season, Neuer was playing in front of 60,000 people.
Jesus. Do you guys ever wonder what the pressure's like for a lot of these players at these times? 60,000 people. That's a lot of people, man. Like, have you ever wondered what that feeling feels like? Oh man, I wonder if there's like a compilation out there of players talking about the amount of pressure on the pitch when they're playing against these other teams, and you know, in foreign territory, at away crowds, home crowds. Like, I want to know if there's like a compilation of players talking about that feeling. If there is, I would love to watch that.
He must have left a mark, enough that by the 10th match day, with Horst back from injury, their manager Mirko Slomka still decided to risk it all by bringing in the kid against Bayern, having him walk up those stairs side by side with Oliver Kahn, and the rest is history. Frank Horst would never play another Bundesliga match for Schalke, and after 14 consecutive matches with Neuer between the posts and not a single defeat, another growth spurt saw the youngest starting keeper in the Bundesliga hit 6'4", and Schalke, the top of the table, a place they would hold on to until there were only 2 matches left, as then they would unfortunately lose to Dortmund and watch Stuttgart come back twice to beat Bochum, losing out on what would have been their first title since 1958 by only 2 points.
That's tough, man.
For a second. Over that season, Schalke conceded 1.57 goals a game whenever anyone other than Neuer was in goal, but only 0.77 when it was his turn between the posts.
Jesus.
Forget the title race. The boy who only dreamt of being like Jens Lehmann a year earlier was being propped up by every newspaper in the country to take his place in the national team.
That's crazy.
Don't get it wrong, Neuer was still just a kid. The next year, 2 more keepers arrived, a bunch of mistakes followed as he looked awfully nervous to be playing the Champions League, and suddenly the fans were coming after him, claiming his unusual playstyle was nothing but a party trick that compromised their defensive line. It's widely agreed upon that, hadn't he been a homegrown player, they would have actually dropped him at that point, but they did not, and in March, he popped off again, leading them to the UCL knockouts and then putting on a man-of-the-match performance over the 2 legs, saving Schalke repeatedly and finally taking matters into his own hands, knocking out FC Porto by saving 2 penalties in the shootout, only going out once he met Ronaldinho's Barcelona in the quarters, by which that was already their most successful campaign since the 1950s.
I'll forever find it funny, like how we just randomly end up with like Barcelona popping up in any of these videos. And I feel like you guys have gotten used to me pausing the moment like Ronaldinho or anything related to Barca just pops up. It's just so funny to me, man. It could be a completely different video unrelated to anything I was even remotely thinking about with Barca, and they just pop up. It's just funny to me.
With Neuer himself earning a place in the shortlist for UEFA Goalkeeper of the Year, meaning that by the following season, even with his team struggling, not even reaching the European spots, he was able to go out to the Under-21 Euros and shock the world, conceding only a single goal the whole tournament, despite facing off against the likes of Balotelli, Giovinco, Walcott, and Bojan Krkić, easily taking the trophy and the Goalkeeper of the Tournament award, even getting his debut for the proper national team, and impressing enough that the Bayern chairman publicly declared his interest in Neuer's signing, starting a public feud with new Schalke manager Felix Magath. However, not only did Neuer stay at Schalke, but with 6 games left in the season, he had them at the top of the table, having conceded fewer goals than Oliver Kahn. And though an awful end to their season would see them relinquish the title to Bayern, Neuer would have been nominated to the UEFA Team of the Year, already up to 100 Bundesliga appearances at 23 years of age, finally taking over the national team, though in very unfortunate circumstances, with Lehmann retiring, Adler breaking his ribs, and Robert Enke taking his own life. At the tournament, a man-of-the-match performance against Messi's Argentina put Germany in the semis, and even there, against European champion Spain, Neuer managed to hold them off until that late winner by Puyol, eventually still taking a bronze medal, meaning that once he made it back to Schalke, not only did they make him club captain already, but he knew damn well this was likely his final season at the club, so he had to make it count.
However, he was like 23, 24?
Investments, bringing in Raul, Lintelar, and Metzelder, Schalke quickly began falling down the table, settling for their worst finish in 17 years and forcing Neuer to put everything he had into the other 2 competitions, blocking out Bayern to put them in a German Cup's final, and meanwhile leading him out their Champions League group with the 3rd best defensive record in the competition before helping them stun Valencia and European champions Inter Milan to put Schalke in the semi-finals for the first time in their history, where after falling to Man United, Neuer made sure to lock in the DFB Pokal for good, the first trophy of his career and the first for Schalke in almost a decade, right before he finally signed for Bayern, which was much more complicated than it sounds.
I find it amazing that on the last part of his last leg with Schalke, he immediately wins the trophy. It's always just so fun to me how these little stories just play out, bro.
Believe it or not, the Bayern fans hated Neuer. Not only did they not want to have anything to do with some born and bred Schalke fan who literally cried on his departure and had taunted their fans by imitating Oliver Kahn, but they already had Thomas Kraft, who they believed was the rightful heir to Kahn's throne, so things got better.
Of course
so
they would.
That with Julio Ness having already addressed the fans' behavior multiple times before the season even started, once they booed him following a mistake on his Bundesliga debut, he literally had to hold a meeting with the ultras to try to calm them down, and though no strong worded debates could really put a stop to it, then Neuer gave them no chance but to love him, due to the sheer fact that the next goal he conceded came only in October, after 1,147 minutes of game time, over 19 hours between the posts without conceding, making Bayern's record of 102 look like nothing, leading their chairman to outright claim that if Kahn was made of titanium, whichever alloy Neuer is made of is yet to be named. And though there was enough animosity left within the German media that by the end of the season, with Bayern only second and having lost the final of the German Cup as well, Kicker magazine refused to name him as Germany's goalkeeper of the year, at one point not even including him in the top 10. Well, in the Champions League, it was...
So wait, the German Cup, is that just like another domestic cup, kinda, pretty much? I hear a lot of these different like titles and these different cups that have gone on, and I definitely don't know them all. But yeah, is that like just another domestic cup, different from like the Bundesligas and stuff? Oh, actually, I guess it is, because things like La Liga, Bundesliga, what the Premier League, they don't have like an actual playoff bracket. It's all point based. So I'm gonna assume this is just like another domestic cup, probably. Let me know.
In the top 10, well, in the Champions League, it was different. Not only did Neuer save Ronaldo's and Kaká's penalties in order to put them in the final, but once forcing for penalty shootout again, he was the first to make a save, even scoring one himself when no outfield player had the guts to step up in the absence of Müller and Ribéry.
Balls of steel.
Even with veteran Petr Cech outshining him in one of the all-time greatest goalkeeping performances, after Neuer extended Germany's streak to 14 matches unbeaten up to the semi-finals of the Euros that summer, the IFFHS ranked him second for the world's goalkeeper of the year. But the thing is that taking second in the league, cup, UCL, and in an award like that only served to make him angrier. The following season, he allowed in only 18 goals over a full league campaign.
God,
injury time.
Damn.
Forget a full 90. This guy was averaging over 180 minutes per goal conceded. Obviously, the record. So much that Bayern too took the title with a record 25-point lead. And I won't even mention the German Cup because that was just too easy. What mattered then was the Champions League, his biggest heartbreak. And there, he swiftly put down 4 consecutive clean sheets in 4 legs against Juventus and prime Barcelona. And then, in the final, not only did he put down 8 saves, but pulled out one of his under-pressure clearances to start the play that led to their first goal, ultimately leading them to the treble. Finally rising up to the title of World's Goalkeeper of the Year after 5 consecutive words for Casillas, and all right as Ainka stepped down and Guardiola arrived.
Here we go.
Pep was just perfect for Neuer. He didn't just accept his unconventional play style, he pushed it even further at times. You could almost mix him up for a center back with how far up the pitch he'd get. So much that, once Bayern found themselves leading by 20 points in February, Guardiola began seriously insisting that with the league already won, they should allow him to try out Neuer in midfield.
They might as well.
The board to put a stop to this madness, telling him that there was no point in embarrassing other teams like that, even if the moment Neuer swept up every domestic trophy yet again and joined Germany for the World Cup, Joachim Löw publicly agreed with Guardiola, claiming that he was sure that Neuer was good enough to play outfield. Regardless, that wasn't important anymore, because with a shoulder injury nearly sidelining him before the opening match, a draw against Ghana in the second, problems within the training camp with ceilings leaking water and wild animals howling throughout the night, keeping the players awake, Neuer seriously sent a postcard back to his family saying, "I think we'll leave the tournament very early, my feeling really is not the best." And maybe that was what made him risk it all in the last 16, playing so high up up the pitch, he broke the all-time record for the most sweeping actions by a goalkeeper, having more touches in the first half of the game than all but 4 of Algeria's players.
This dude is a monster. I mean, do you see the size of this guy, bro? I know they said he's 6'4", but you know how terrifying it's got to be to see the goalkeeper charging you? Oh, man, I definitely can't wait to watch his highlight reel, because this dude looks like a monster.
He broke the all-time record for the most sweeping actions by a goalkeeper, having more touches in the first half of the game than all but 4 of Algeria's players, putting down the most talked about hit map in World Cup history, getting dragged by the likes of Alan Shearer, who claimed one ball over the top is all it would take to bring him down, only to then witness him repeatedly save them against France, then demolish Brazil 7-1 and move on to the final against Messi's Argentina and nullifying them long enough for God's sake to get the winning goal in extra time. Becoming a world champion, taking the Golden Glove, and then coming back to Bayern and conceding only 4 goals throughout the entire first half of the league season, leaving them unbeaten by the time the Ballon d'Or was awarded, and placing 3rd, 0.04% off of Messi, as a lot of fans dared to argue that this goalkeeper had been the best player on the planet. However, things wouldn't always be this nice. Despite the widespread belief that Pep managed to execute his vision perfectly, after 2 more league titles he would leave without ever repeating the European achievements of previous years, and after Neuer etched his name into the Euros history, holding on until the quarterfinals before he was beaten, and only thanks to an own goal, ultimately breaking the competition's all-time record for most consecutive minutes without conceding, they welcomed Ancelotti to Bayern in hopes of getting back to the top of Europe, demolishing Arsenal 10-2, only for Neuer to break his foot against Real Madrid and force himself to keep on playing as they were out of substitutions, eventually losing regardless, but doing enough damage to his foot that even after 4 months in rehab, the moment he came back the next season, he fractured it again, missing the whole year and only coming back for the World Cup, having not played for Bayern for 7 months, getting ridiculed at the tournament as the Champions curse struck again and led Germany out of the tournament in a group stage, sparking up debates that it was time for Ter Stegen to replace him.
I mean, dude, getting ridiculed knowing that he broke his foot twice is insane. What the hell is he supposed to do, man? Come on. I mean, I guess you could really question the coaching staff for putting him back in, but brother broke his foot twice. What is he getting ridiculed for?
341 days went by between consecutive Bundesliga appearances, but no matter what, now as captain, Neuer began slowly making his way back to his best, and after, for the first season in his career, underperforming his expected goals on target, firing up the Ter Stegen debate even more, the following year, with Hansi Flick's arrival, he shut everyone's mouths. Taking the opportunity of a pandemic-fueled Champions League that had been turned into a summer tournament and popping off, taking the Man of the Match award in the final against Neymar and Mbappe's PSG, instantly getting his name back into conversations for the world's best, and taking Bayern's 3rd trophy of the season, adding a 2nd treble to his resume. But this time, making sure not to miss any other trophies over the calendar year, making that only the 2nd sextuple in the history of football, and leading Julio Ness to call him the transfer that changed Bayern, as they started their run for a 10th Bundesliga title in a row. And what blows my mind is that then, already 37 years old, he went out for a ski trip, broke his leg, was told it was likely the end of his career, and not only made it through 350 days of rehab in order to come back, but he did it in time to play the Euros one last time before saying goodbye to the national team. And even now, 39, somehow, he is still one of the best.
Sheesh. Multiple injuries, comes back. I love these stories, man. I love these players that can just somehow power through sheer will. That they're gonna make it known they're still competing. Oh man, oh man, oh man. It's actually kind of crazy how much of this stuff like recently just happened. You know, what was that? 2020, the pandemic, the 2021, 2022, 2023, like all that time frame, dude. And once again, I had no idea any of this was going on. How many Bundesligas have they won over their career, because he said this is going to be their 10th in a row, right? I mean, that's kind of insane. All right, I'm done yapping. This was really cool, man. It goes to show people should never give up on you because of your height, especially when you're an adolescent. The fact that this dude is 6'4" and chasing after people, you know, from the box, like, that's going to be terrifying, man. Thanks for the suggestion. Seriously, never reacted to goalkeeping stuff before, so this was a treat and it was something new. So if there's another goalkeeper you want me to check out, let me know in the comments down below. And hey, this is your boy Jay with another reaction. I will catch you later. Hope you have a great day. Peace.